discover liberation just have vastly different understandings of what liberation is for.
I haven't seen this much importance and attention.
The story itself is a really wonderful, really great setup.
Tractor beam has been engaged.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews, your one-stop shop for in-depth commentary and discussion on this week's Star Wars comics. It is Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. It's the 21st week of comics in 2025. Funny how that works out. I'm Matthew. That's Chris. Chris, how you doing this week?
I'm doing good. I'm finally caught up on every Star Wars canonical piece of literature released, so I'm feeling good, man. It's been a journey to get there, but I finally did it.
Literally everything that's come out.
I think so.
That's
yeah,
impressive.
I mean, barring any like Star Wars Rebels middle grade high-end books or the Rebellion. There's a 2-part Rebellion book. I'm not going to read that, but other than that, the main line, yes. I say that because there's been like a video game expansion for Star Wars Outlaws. I count that. There's comics. There's the novels. 2 novels came out on the same day. I'm finally caught up. Been trying to catch my breath, and now now I'm doing good.
There we go. I have too many hobbies, is what we're getting here. There we go. Fun times. So we're gonna talk about comics that came out today. We're just about caught up. We're almost caught up. Also comic that came out a few weeks ago, but that's okay. The plugs. The plugs again at the end, but first off, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Iron Cannon Pod, UIEONCANONPOD, and at the SW on Twitter and Underworld Facebook. Also on Blue Sky, Joel manning the Blue Sky over at Iron Cannon on Blue Sky. Follow everything Chris does at StarRaptor, YouTube.com/StarRaptor, and Twitter at StarRaptor, StarRapter. Check that out. Also, we're probably part of the Star Wars Underworld podcast network. As I mentioned, you can follow at the SWU on their socials as well. As well as check out the Discord server. We got the Discord server down the link in the description below. We got conversations all about Andor. We got all about different comics, different things happening in the Star Wars, in Marvel, and who knows what else. And also a lot of Fortnite happening, I believe. Lots of Fortnite, including you sent me a little Lego Fortnite thing of a Coruscant Guard. I was very excited about that because 800 Fortnite points for like every battalion of the Clone Wars. The Clone Troopers, I mean. It's a good deal. I might have to spend money on it. There we go. Especially just to get the Coruscant Guard, So yeah, check all that out in the Discord below. Also, here on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, we've got super chats. We've got memberships, channel memberships. Please do support us. If you're willing to support us, we are happy to receive your help and your support. Grateful for it. If you chat with us, we'll get to your comment as soon as we can. If you super chat with us, we will definitely get to your comment immediately. I'll interrupt myself mid-sentence and all that. So yeah, and again, grateful for any support you are able to provide. All right, again, we'll get the plugs out of the way. We'll get the plugs again at the end, I should say. But for now, let's back up and talk about one more time. We've seen it. We've podcasted about it. We can talk about it. It's been over a week. Andor arc number 4, Andor season 2. Chris, I'll let you go ahead. What are your thoughts and feels about Andor season 2 and the whole series?
Yeah, it's absolutely iconic Star Wars. I know where most of these characters end up, but the great part of this storytelling all throughout has been the great character building and development, to the point where it's like, oh, is Cassian gonna die or something? Like, that's how much I'm invested in the story, because it's like at that moment, it's like it really feels like they did such a good job, like with building everything. And Cassian, he might be in my top 10 Star Wars characters now. Like, just how important he is. Without him, without his sacrifice, all the things he has done, there wouldn't be an actual rebellion for Luke to even pick up and run with. So it really makes me think about Star Wars in a different way, and that is the most impactful thing that any piece of canon material can do, is change the way you look on Star Wars, even though you've been watching it for your literally entire life. Getting into the arc itself, just the idea of the risk, the danger, everything that Luthen sacrificed himself for, even killing himself to just know the repercussions. Like he, last season giving, hey, this is a sunrise I'll never see, or something like that. Great monologue in history of Star Wars and in history of television. The stuff with Clea, just this unbelievable mission that she has to go on, where she's killing her mentor to save the rebellion. Like just the sentimentality, the emotional tug of these characters, and seeing Bix at the end there, just having that glimmer of hope, but also being bittersweet. Like this is like what the rebellion is fighting for people to live peacefully, to have lives. And unfortunately, Cassian never knows like this life that he had created existed. So there's so much in there. The connections to Rogue One. I immediately turned on Rogue One and just watched. And I have a completely different lens. Cassian Andor is the main character of Rogue One for me now. Even Disney Plus apparently agrees, because they have him as the main character on the poster. But if you look at it, I said this on my podcast. I said Rogue One feels like episode 13, 14, and 15. It feels like the true finale. The pacing, everything about Rogue One, all the little like dialogue pieces that Cassian, you don't know how much I sacrificed. We know how much he sacrificed. We've seen him doing these missions. It gives a whole nother flow to this. Like I watched it over the weekend. I watched Rogue One. I paused the movie on multiple occasions to kind of think out loud of like, okay, Cassian had done this. This traces back to this character, which traces back to this moment. Like the long game that Tony Gilroy had played with building these characters back in season 1. This season, which is basically almost a perfect season 2 for me, never would have existed if there weren't the slower moments. There weren't the moments that really peeled the layers back on these characters to really say who they are. The last arc is, I still call it a 9.5 out of 10. I know I gave it 10 out of 10 for the previous arc, just because it did so much for like the reality of the situation that we're in now. And all this other things that it felt. But I mean, this is like close behind it as like this in general. It's Andor for me. I think it's heads and shoulders like. I don't want to compare it to anything else. I know people get away with that, but for what it does, I've never seen Star Wars TV done this well before, and I'll say it that much. And I'm looking forward and hoping that, I know Tony Gilroy is basically done with this, but let this be the inspiration for creators from now. 10 years from now, some guy, up and comer, whoever, says, I want to do a show like Andor, and Disney lets them do it because, okay, we've seen how successful critically this was. This show needs to win Best Drama of the Year. I don't watch a lot of TV, I'll be honest with you. And I'm not the only crazy fool who's saying that. And this is from pundits online that watch everything. So I think that this has the best shot of being a Star Wars entity property and entertainment to go home and pick the biggest prize for that medium of whatever it's in. This could be the moment. Star Wars never won best movie or whatever, best drama or whatever the heck it was.
Best picture,
Best picture, best picture. This is best drama written all over it.
Yeah, it definitely did what it set out to do, which is always the mark of a successful show. I know I'm kind of being tepid here. It was brilliant. That third arc, especially the Gorman Massacre, everything that goes into that, and then Mon Mothma's speech in the Senate leading up to Secret Cargo. It definitely did. The show did what it did set out to do, is just like Rogue One, all the little links in the chain that lead to Luke destroying the Death Star, right? All these little things that if they don't happen, Luke, like you said, Luke doesn't destroy the Death Star. All the different sacrifices that people have to make. Folks have to, unfortunately, sacrifice their own soul almost. At least Luthen and Saw do, for someone like Bix. And sorry, it was great to. I
How about decaf? I promise. It was great to see. I mean, I have my questions about Bix and about the writing and different concerns there, but an important reminder that she represents, like you said, what they're fighting for, the kind of life that people are fighting for, especially with the Force, right? They're fighting for. I mean, it is the Force clapping back and saying the Force will be free, but free to engage the Force, not the way the path of the open hand has it, but the way that the Jedi and someone like Bix, who's clearly more sensitive to it, and how on Yavin we see Yavin be the New Republic in utero, in its nascent form already, that we'll see, of course, in Ahsoka. I know we see it more complicated in Mandalorian, but to see all the links in the chain building up. In Rogue One does that too, right? Again, the links in the chain, but of course, Rogue One shows us the final link in the chain to Leia, and then the handoff to Leia to the Rebel Alliance, and so on Yavin, and we've known since 1977. But it was a really exciting, gripping show, really well thought out. I'm gonna remember. It's funny for me, second last episodes, second last arcs, even I think Rebels, like the Rebels season 2. This is a bit of a tangent, but Rebels season 2, of course, finishes with Twilight of the Apprentice, which is spectacular. But just before that, it has that Lothal Temple episode, a few episodes before. Rebels season 4, of course, finishes with Thrawn, the Purgle, and Ezra going over, turns out, to Peridea. But a few episodes before, it has twin sons. And it's funny, Star Wars seems to build in their climaxes just a little bit before. Ahsoka has episode 5, which is my favorite. That third arc. I'm gonna probably, if there's an episode I'm gonna rewatch, it's probably episode doing math here,
8,
episode 9, with Mon Mothma.
No,
sorry, episode 8.
With the Gorman Massacre.
No, episode 9 with Mon Mothma and her escape, because both riveting and meaningful, and I like getting preached at. It went there. That's the thing. The show went there with the Gorman Massacre, with Mon Mothma naming the abyss between what is the story is told and what we know to be true, the facts versus the fake news, and all of that they we struggle with in our real world. And so I agree with you. We need about maybe 10 years, 15 years for something else to come along, and who knows when it would be set, but it's one of those landmark special moments in Star Wars. I do think, from what I've heard, I haven't seen Severance, but from what I've heard, that's probably going to edge it out. But also, I mean, that's also a genre fandom, so it's an urban sci-fi, from what I can tell. So there's a bit of a win, but it's not Star Wars, I know. In any other year, I think Andor probably takes it. I hope so. I mean, I'm cheering for it. But
I mean, does Severance have any other seasons? Maybe it'll be like Return of the King, right? Like they didn't nominate or award 2 Towers or Fellowship, but on its last run with Return of the King, they gave it its flowers, and they just gave it all the awards. I'm hoping that's what happens with Andor. If that Severance is like 3rd out of 5 seasons, give it to Andor, darn it. Like,
I think
Diego Luna, Diego Luna, Mon Mothma, like, give them best actress, best actor. Supporting actor, give Stellan Skarsgård, give him supporting, right? Best visual effects, all the stuff. Just give it everything.
Give them all the things,
because it visually looks good. Like, we everybody talks, of course, as you should, about the story content, about the writing, about the dialogue, about the acting. But like, a lot of the times, I think we just don't even. There's so much to talk about with that we don't talk about how good the show looks. Looking at watching it on my 72-inch OLED screen, it's like, oh my gosh, everything pops. It's like, dude, it was like a movie experience.
I need to come over.
Yeah, it looked. Oh man, in 4K. Oh, it looks so good.
You need to move closer to me. No, I'm just kidding. Just for that, no, just move that TV closer. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, the score. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's up there for sure.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say Severance does have more seasons left. There will be another season 7, so maybe we'll see.
And one last thing is I'll say is I always harp on, especially with the comics, especially like why do we have to keep going with the original trilogy? Like, come on, Lucasfilm. That's why I like the High Republic. We're doing some cool new things over here. I'll be the first in line or whatever, the first to turn on Disney Plus on the day that they actually have an original trilogy set series in the vein of Andor. You know, have Vel running around, have Clea running around, have some minor rebellion characters that we know recasted running around. And I'll be the first if they have that kind of, because that's the thing that Andor did really well, is it stayed in its lane essentially for if you're dealing with a political story about the Empire and the Rebellion, you gotta have that boots on the ground espionage kind of going back and forth. And I like how it's stuck in its lane. It wasn't really dealing with the Force until like the last season here, just a little bit. But it did so well with the theme and the tone of what it wanted to do. And it wasn't scared of being bold and really pushing things forward for Star Wars, where a lot of people were like, oh, it's too much for me. It made sense in the context of what the story was doing. So I really appreciate Kathleen Kennedy and all the executives allowing Tony Gilroy to basically get away with whatever he wanted to do. So that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely brilliant. Looking forward to. I mean, there's those year gaps, right? There's lots of story to tell in those year gaps. Different media to connect the pieces. Maybe this kind of medium here.
Remember, we still have Reign of the Empire has 2 books left.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I feel like that's why they were waiting, right? They probably wanted the authors to like watch Andor 2 to get those books to be just as accurate as you can get them without any tiptoeing over Tony Gilroy's,
Yeah. Especially the 3rd book. It's going to be probably set inside the series somewhere in there. That's going to probably hopefully connect a lot of dots. Reign of the Empire. I mean, Reign of the Empire, it really felt like a prequel to this show.
Oh,
like,
man.
I don't know what kind of notes Alexander Free got, but the tone was pitch perfect. And so, really, really well done.
Almost like how Catalyst was for Rogue One.
Yeah.
It's almost like a necessity to read that before you've seen Rogue One,
Yeah. So the paper to screen pipeline is that it just changes how we feel about a story. Definitely works out well. All right. Speaking of paper, we got one comic that came out a few weeks ago, and then its next issue that came out today. It came out today, or maybe last week. Came out today, and then another comic that came out today. We're just about caught up, almost. We got Fear of the Jedi, number 3 and number 4, written by Kevin Scott. We're going back in time. We're going to 228 BBY. We're going over Eriadu, and we're staying there. There we go. All this episode. This is written by Kevin Scott. These are both written by Kevin Scott. Art by Mark Cresta. Colors by Jim Campbell. Letters by VC's Ariana Marr. And covers by Phil Noto. We'll do both at the same time and just talk about the story overall here. So number 3, the description: blockade over Eriadu. Lines are drawn as Keeve Trenna's Stormwall defense fleet joins the fight against the Nile. Can Keeve remain true to the light as she leads her team into battle? Meanwhile, heartbreak is relived as the past catches up with one of Lorna D's crew. And then on to number 4, Nightmare of Eriadu. Keeve Trenna and her team of battle-weary Jedi must face their biggest challenge and their greatest fear: the Nameless Strike, as you've never seen them before. What is the secret of the Nightmare Fleet? And how can Tay Sirek defend himself against the person he loves most? First off, and we're not going to worry about maybe opening salvos or anything. I'll just give my thoughts overall. The first thing that popped into my mind when I'm trying to figure out what the title of this podcast episode is going to be: They Fly Now? They fly now? The Nameless fly now? And they're the size of Purgle? Well, spoiler alert, not exactly. They're not really there. Hate to break it to you, but what a vision. What an amazing moment, cliffhanger at the end of issue number 3, where you have Keeve and everyone, all the Jedi, everyone happening to have the same. I mean, in retrospect, looking back, of course, it's Hatar using the fear engine to distract the fleet, while the scav droids and that massive spider ship that I think also Macampa has a similar type of ship, I suspect. I think it's kind of the same kind of thing in Into the Light. Anyway, that while they're actually the ones trying to pull the door off the long off the Geos, and Keith has to hold the thing. But what a vision! What a sight of, it's amazing just the way. First of all, two things to draw from that. Just the way our fears can just take us down a path, like get away from us. That to have this vision, this fear. What if there are these giant nameless that fly through space and the size of Purgle that can just wrap around, like you see the cover of number 4, wrap around a long beam and break it apart? What if, right? Also, the fact that they all collectively have the same fear, by and large, not everybody. Some like weird. Lorna, or I think someone else has a fear of the Gaze Electric flying it in, but then they realize, no, wait a minute, Markian wouldn't go into battle like that, which I think is actually foreshadowing the moment he does go into battle, probably in Trials of the Jedi, which is going to be something else. But yeah, the fact that the Nameless has had such a widespread impact on Jedi and RDC alike, to make them all collectively afraid of that. Most of them are. Little sort of side thoughts about Orbelin breaking himself up. We kind of see a character flaw there. Like he's kind of arrogant. He's like, I can do this. It's fine. And ignoring how Keeve says, no, stop it. I'm ordering you to pull back and don't do that anymore. Ignores that order. And that mirrors this amazingly powerful moment with Velko telling Keeve to stay on the bridge, because Keeve is about to fly off with Skier to go take care of the situation. I've been very out of here with whatever these creatures or whatever is happening out in space, and Orbelin being in trouble, and Velko says, no, your place is here on the bridge. And everything with Keeve is careening towards this eventual dissatisfaction, this restlessness about wanting to jump into the action, but being held back by these responsibilities. And you see in this moment how hard it is for her to wrestle, just like even in the audiobook, how she wants to go rescue Skier. And in that case, she does. The audio play, I should say. That's kind of the interlude between these two comic book runs. No, not kind of. It is the interlude between the two comic book runs. And then, of course, all in comes Lorna and Quinn. Again, nice little exciting moment there. But then panning to Tay, and the way that we know that this is Hatar and the Fear Engine is Tay having another vision of Vildar. And that was like heartbreak is relived, and we get all this much more context. We go back even further in time. The Scoot plays this recording. The dirty joke that Scoot plays this recording of Vildar on his deathbed, and Tay is there, obviously, because his species lives just so much longer that he's definitely he's still kind of young, but Vildar is older and dying and on his deathbed. And we get a bit of context that Vildar left the order to marry Tay, which does make this feel more real and more natural, this relationship. Because the first time we got it, they're just sucking face out of nowhere, and that didn't quite make sense. But now we get some more emotional content to it, right? We get, he left the order. He told the Jedi Order, the Council, where to stuff it, as Tay said. And maybe this is my last point, is, Tay, well, what we see here is Tay sees this vision of Vildar accusing him of stealing the Cerberus hand, and accusing him, and it's kind of true, sort of. I mean, almost like Tay blames himself or I believe Tay. What am I trying to say? Tay accuses himself of betraying Vildar by taking the hand and taking that power for himself when Vildar probably said don't do that. You can imagine that it's the dark side, and Vildar does anyways, and the weight that he's carried, he's felt guilty of that this whole time, this 100 years or whatever it is. He's lived with that, and that's what Hatar is able to tap into and have this confrontation. But what we see is Tay confronting his own guilt in this moment, and it's this emotional core, oddly enough, with this wild battle and these fake nameless that are really the buzz droids or whatever it is, the scav droids. You have this emotional moment of Tay being the one to really overcome from the fear engine by not giving Hatar the thing that she's looking for. Of course, Hatar herself is being tortured, and we see Sibaba, the former child of the Storm, be like chiming in. He's kind of annoying. But yeah, it was. I mean, just having read this back about half an hour ago, like I read it again, finally get a lot more insights. Get really gripping character beats in this one as we zoom towards the finale, and then the finale next month, I believe. So those are my thoughts on Fear of the Jedi 3 and 4. I know I went a long time, but what are your thoughts? What are your feels on these comics?
Yeah, first off, I'll mention something you didn't really touch on, and that is the reverse of the occlusion zone that Field Marshal Tyrannus sets up as an orbit around Eriadu. I thought that was really cool. It's like coming around full circle in reverse. We're actually going to set up a blockade to prevent the dog from getting down to, reinforcing Eriadu. So I love this idea that, again, we're talking about this tonight, that you have Star Wars Insider with Pick Adrian down there.
Yeah.
Did you get that, by the way?
I finally bought it. I figured fit it in the schedule. I'll figure out when to read it. Yeah.
Okay. So you got that going on.
Yeah.
You have Adventures going on, and now you have the High Republic Marvel going on, all at the same time in classic Lukusian fashion. You have like the space battle, you got the ground battle, you got the emotional beats all heading home, right? Like it's really well done. I like how everything was really coordinated really well with the whole initiative doing this. But as far as the story is concerned, yeah, I felt for Oberlin, man. I wasn't thinking about arrogance at all. I was thinking about sorrow, because you know how much I like this character.
Yeah.
And I'm like, crap, is he actually gonna like die? Like, I'm actually worried about him because he's separating himself so much, and it's just like there's only so much this guy can take, and then he's just gonna fade away, I guess, because you see him just like get knocked unconscious. But yeah, as far as just looking at this issue as parts 3 and 4 combined, just really seeing the scav droids as well, right? Like the idea that there's so much emphasis put on the scav droids, whether it be a Valiant Val, whether it be Tales from the Occlusion Zone, and now the High Republic. Like everybody's dealing with scav droids all of a sudden. So that's quite interesting how we're seeing so much emphasis on these things and what they're actually capable, as you put it, like these other precursors to the buzz droids that the Separatists use. So it's cool seeing the iconography kind of transport itself 200 years later in the timeline. But yeah, it had a lot of heart with Tay Sarek. I like how he has the green lightsaber of Vildar Mac. I think that's a cool touch.
Yeah.
I think that there's just not enough on Keith Trennis. That's my one thing. It's the main character. How is she going to turn in one issue now? That's my concern. It's like, how is she going to turn away from the council in like 22 pages? I don't think they've really done enough to focus on the character. unless that happens in like the final one shot that comes out in July or something, because who knows? We don't know about Trials of the Jedi. Maybe there's a whole nother act where all these Jedi show up and help out, like Avar Kriss and all them against Markion Ro, and then that could be in there. But I just feel like right now, 5 issues, I feel like there's been a lot of scope, but not enough with her. So I'm worried that we're not going to be able to get enough resolution out of some of these characters, because we're all focused a lot on action and barreling toward a conclusion with one more issue. So
yeah, I wondered about that too, just because something so big, and so it's big because we've thought about it since Kevin talked about it, and since Duke of Jedi Lost, right, where we know this is coming, and how he seeded that in, and how central that is, Keeve's turning, that led him, the fact that he, like Kevin himself, thought up this plot point as a way of expressing the question that kicked off everything for him and for the whole project, was what do the Jedi fear? And it's exemplified by the Nameless, but with Keeve, I'm worried about like you said, just I'd like to have her own standalone novel or something that he writes, or an original graphic novel or something.
Here's the thing. Cavan Scott on multiple occasions now made cryptic kind of nods at maybe the High Republic isn't really ending completely.
Interesting.
I have like the inclination and the speculation that this one-shot issue coming on July is going to spin off into like another Keeve Trennis series post this. So all the stuff that goes down in Trials of the Jedi will give her an ongoing that will actually show us like the leaving of the Order, because you can't do it in one more issue or 2 more issues. Like you need more time. I feel like you got to see the repercussions. Like, okay, she leaves, but like what's going to happen next? Like what do the Jedi think of her? What does she end up doing?
Sure.
Like, I think that's what he's leaning towards, is like, the High Republic initiative is over, but we're going to get things like whatever the young adult novel by Tessa.
Wayseeker.
The other one.
The Acolyte one.
The one with Yord and Jecki.
Oh, yeah.
And with Wayseeker. Yes, we're having these things set in the High Republic, but they're not the High Republic.
Right.
So I think maybe that is where we'll see her end, or whatever.
I mean, again, I agree. I do think we have these character moments where she's clearly frustrated.
True. Yeah, we see that coming.
Clearly pushing against something. That audio play that really was, I think, where things started to land for her. I guess the issue isn't so much that is there enough time, it's that we've gotten these character beats in and amongst character beats of other characters, and important beats, especially with Lorna and here with Tay, they're all in and around, and then Keeve she's the lonely one up top, and calling the shots, and she has to make these objective decisions. And I mean, the character moment comes when Velko tells her, you have to make this objective decision to stay on the bridge, because that's where you're needed. I would like to see, I don't know, I'm curious. I know Kevin's thought about it a lot, just because he's a great storyteller, great author. He knows how story works, so I trust him. But we'll have to see how issue 5 feels, and this finale feels. I think it still needs to be under the publishing initiative banner, only because it's about this Nihil conflict, and it's about everything that's been seeded and built in. It would feel more integral to it. Certainly more. I mean, that's just whatever happens with Keeve is going to feel more integral than say what happens with Fern and the Acolyte or Wayseeker or whatever. I haven't read Wayseeker yet, but because it's just whatever with Keeve is following on it. But yeah, I agree. I share your concern. I just that we don't have any announcement of a Keeve story, Keeve's own story here. We do know this is getting my gears turning. We do know we're supposed to be getting the Broken Blade comic about maybe, I guess. I don't. Charles Soule said it's still coming, so maybe that's another example of something, kind of High Republic initiative adjacent.
Initiative adjacent.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
So, that one's gonna have a lot more soup in it, but the Blade of Bardotta there.
9-egg soup. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. So
get that at Batu. Let's have that going on, guys.
Yeah,
Let's everybody get on that.
I will check Batu in July and see if it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for now, I mean, I think it's a good question. We don't have an answer to it, but we have a question to it. Just again, well, the real question is, what does Keeve's turn look like, and how is there enough story that makes us satisfied about it? And how will we feel about it? Will we be led to it? Will we see it happen and then maybe some story built in before? Kind of like Anakin, right? Anakin's turn. We have this in this film that comes out 20 years ago the other day. And then we get this animated series that builds in all this story, including him having a Padawan. So that's also possible that could happen too. So I don't know. That's all we got for issues 3 and 4. Do you have any last thoughts? This one?
No.
All right. Well, sticking with Eriadu, we're staying on Eriadu, like I said, as promised. We're not going anywhere. We're just going down to the surface. Also, that was a great point. That you have the George Lucas counterpoint. Different things happening at once. This is High Republic Adventures number 18, written by Daniel Jose Older, art by Harvey Tolabau. Colors by Michael Attier, letters by Comicraft's Tyler Smith, friend of the show, and Jimmy Betancourt, and cover by Alyssa Ramboli. The Battle of Eriadu comes to an explosive conclusion. Jedi Knight Farzala Tarbell leads his fearless allies into a final fight with the Nihil, risking everything in a last-ditch effort to save Eriadu and the Republic. But his opponent, the treacherous Warden, is obsessed with defeating the Jedi, even if it means destroying everything he's fought for. Who will be victorious? Chris, I'll throw it to you. What do you think of High Republic Adventures number 18?
Oh man, this was an amazing killer story. This is why we read comics, everybody. This is a good medium to be involved with because it packed some emotional gut punches that I was going, whoa, comics are powerful. Even if they're all ages, they could do a lot. But Daniel Hayes Older, he has a great way of balancing humor with just this awesome moments of hope and self-realization for the characters he makes. Like, I want to shout out the character of Jacoby. We haven't known him very long. Like, he seems like he just came to be in this arc. The whole idea of like him making his rebellion and being like, you know what, even if my grandmother's like, she'd rather die than me going, with what this warden wants me to do. So he pulls on the switch to let the shield go over the Arcoval or whatever the place is called. That's
Arco Royale,
the place is holding it. So I like that. I like that. I like him. I like the grandmother at one point, just like
that's great.
Messing up the things on a ship and jumping out the airlock. Like, that was
amazing.
Him landing in the freaking speeder and just flying away. It's like, and then the droid. I love the droid too. 5AGE Sage. Him and Sage, man, those guys could have their own miniseries comic.
True.
Because Sage is, I modified it, and there's like all these blasters that just pop up out of this speeder, and it just like the Nihil are having problems with this ship. It's freaking hilarious. And then you get to the end of the thing, and the whole idea is like, all right, like this is not a good thing coming to us because we have the Warden who can destabilize this core. There's no way out. We have Farzala, who's on this giant turret that is going to cause collateral damage, but how much? Not sure. But all he knows is he's got to deal with this ship that has a sentimental tie to him to begin with, because that's the ship that Yoda would shepherd the students on throughout the galaxy to teach them the ways of the Force and the ways of the galaxy. So he's got ties to this ship. He's scared he's going to hurt people, but at that moment that he needs it the most, all the people in his life and the Jedi of the past that have now passed on to the living Force are there behind him to give him the support. And man, that almost brought a tear to my eye, because I'm like, this is so Star Wars. Like, this is such a classic Star Wars moment of that character, like Luke Skywalker in an X-Wing and Obi-Wan, just talking to him through the Force, giving Luke the inspiration to pull the trigger. And it was just so Star Wars at its core. And just seeing the warden getting vaporized, oh man, it was a fist bumping moment, and I loved it. So that was my reaction to the issue.
Yeah, that was such a great moment that really builds well on issue 17. That vision with his master and facing that fear. And then here he comes to the moment, and when I again reread it, I had to slow down because the action stops and you get into Farzalla's seat, and he's calm and breathing like Luke on the Death Star, like you mentioned. And I'm one with the Force, and the Force is with me. Takes the shot, and he's able to take the shot because the warden, he's climbing so he can ram the shield, pick up speed, because he's gonna he has General Vice on his butt saying either you win at all costs or else, and it ends up costing him, and so ends up making him open to Farzala taking the shot with less collateral damage. I think. And yeah, what an amazing epic conclusion to this battle. But yeah, everything really comes together, and just a really amazing conclusion to Farzalla's character journey through this battle, really taking charge, becoming the hero. He's not a brash, hyper confident. That was his issue, his struggle. Not some brash, hyper confident, I have this all figured out, needs to be put in his place. He's I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. We've got to retreat. We got to pull back everybody. And then to facing, I'm just afraid of fear. Just like, that's the thing. What did the Jedi fear? Maybe here's a funny callback. So Charles talked about in beginning of Project Loomis, talking about it being like Camelot and the Kennedys. Of course, Kennedy's inaugural address. What do we have to fear but fear itself? Very much a Camelot kind of idea to overcome the illusions, right? Just like with Hatar, with the fear engine. Here with Farzala and his fear of stepping up and taking the shot and being the guy in the chair, and he's able to rely on the past, that moment with all the Jedi coming around, the great cloud of witnesses. There we go. I'll bring this up. The great cloud of witnesses. See if I can find that. There it is. Great cloud of witnesses behind, kind of like Rey also on Exegol, right? Her ability to stand up there. Like I said, take the shot and save the day. Now, I don't think the battle is entirely over. Right? We still have the fleet in space. We still have Nile on the ground. Also in Eriadu City. This is a Bifrang, I believe.
Yeah.
But I do need to read Insider still and to catch up with that. And there's another Insider issue. There's another. Got to be one more High Republic Adventures issues. Got to be one more thing. But also to say, it is pretty darn climactic in that it just draws everything together in true High Republic form, right? Just like the dedication of Starlight and the Valo Fair and the fall of Starlight and the Battle of Jeddah and the Night of Thousand Tears. And now, if all these up, this is Battle of Eriadu. I forget. I'm blanking on what else is in phase 3, but I'm sure there's even the Blight and everything dealing with the Blight and whatnot. So yeah, it's amazing again to get this climactic conclusion. Also like a penultimate issue, if you will, penultimate moment. I know, but like a penultimate moment before Trials of the Jedi is what I mean. In the sense of, yes, the Battle of Eriadu, and then the race for Planet X is probably what Trials of the Jedi is going to be. And yeah, seeing how all these characters have come into their own. Yeah, and that we know, Farzala, I think he's on the cover, on one of the covers of Trials of the Jedi. We're going to have him in mind and his journey in mind. We're going to have, blanking on the names, the Lula and Zine, their journeys in mind.
Yeah.
Through this, we're going to have all these other characters in mind. It's, like I said with the Andor, High Republic is doing what it set out to do. And yeah, like you said, in this young reader story, to have this deep, meaningful young adult coming of age story, just like Luke, right? A young kid coming out of his shell, and sometimes literally, not always, but to take a shot. And yeah, it was an exciting moment, and I'm glad we got it in the all ages book, because that just underscores that. It's just a reminder that High Republic is first and foremost a young adult franchise. I know it's a bit of a statement, it's a bit of a claim, but hear me out here. That the most important characters are all under 25, or all or equivalent, are all the young knights, the Padawans. They're the ones who we see grow up, we see finally coming to take the lead, to take charge. Talk about Reith, my guy, Reith, right? Talking about Farzala, talking about Vern, talking about Keeve. I mean, Keeve, we don't know how old Keeve is. I mean, we're sure we do, but I'm sure Wikipedia knows how old Keeve is. But definitely a younger character.
And she was only a Padawan 3 years ago.
Yeah, so
the most she could be is a young 20s,
Yeah. So, it's really, really appropriate that. Really appropriate that we see Reith in these young adult novels, really figuring it out. Again, I need to finish Into the Light. We see Farzala finishing, winning the Battle of Eriadu, right? We see, at least on the ground part, we see Keeve and then winning the air part. At least we hope we will be, hopefully, in the next issue. And so we're going to see, Bell and Burry, right? Everything they get up to in different ways. So, again, I know this isn't so much connected to the issue itself, but my comments, but because, you covered it mostly. But yeah, really great to see Farzala have his moment in this arc.
Yeah, and I do hope because we have 2 issues actually left for High Republic Adventures. I do hope we shift the focus now to Lula and Zine, because that was always a central relationship, and I really hope it ends off with them. Like, I really feel like these next 2 issues are going to be big epilogues, or like a falling action, because unless General Vice shows up herself, which is very possible, because I think that's been weird. Like, she was positioned as a lead villain of this era, and we've barely seen her other than was the Eye of Darkness, I think she was in.
Yeah,
the very first one, adult novel. And that was it. Like, she's supposed to be a big villain. Like, where has she been? So they'll probably just deal with her in Trials of the Jedi, would be my assumption. But we're gonna get a lot of falling action. What's gonna happen with Eriadu in the future, with all this collateral damage and everything that has happened, and the cleanup of the Nile that are still there now, that they pull out immediately now that their leader is gone. That's the kind of questions we're gonna have answered in the next month now, because we're gonna have to. I guess we'll have to have both issues out within a month, because
I think they're 2 weeks apart.
Okay, good, because I really don't want to have to sit there and wait to read the final issue, because I have to read Trials first. Put Trials out last. And then we can get everything in there. But
it's definitely coming to a great conclusion. I definitely got to finish Into the Light. So there, but it's picked up at the end. Reith the clock. So, my guy, he's figuring it out again. But yeah, I think that's about it for Tractor and Comics Reviews. I don't know if you have anything more to say about High Republic Adventures 18. We're good.
No.
All right.
No,
so next week, I know Legacy Vader #4 came out this week. Came out today. We're getting our resident sequelist on. Joel's coming back to talk about Legacy Vader 4 and Rise of Skywalker 4. This week was all High Republic. Next week is all sequel era. And of course, I mean, Legacy of Vader is also kind of prequel here because we're going to Naboo.
Yeah, that is that's already making headlines. It's a shame because
I know that it's on the cover.
Star Wars comics used to be in a ways that they would make bigger splashes. I feel like I would see them more rapidly. You would get the big trades that would pick up on this canon thing happened. If something happens like that in this issue, I'll say that before we talk about it next week. So if you want to know a lot more about Naboo, then you should be picking this one up because there's a lot of good backstory, a lot of good world building, a lot of good lore inclusion that we haven't heard before. So looking forward to diving in deep on that one.
I will read that tonight then. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Legacy of Vader 4. Ross, where in the film are we in this?
We're right about where we just started the duel on Kef Bir.
Yes.
Ruins of the Death Star 2. I'm looking forward to that because I can't wait to see whatever crazy concoction. Is it Will Sliney that does that one?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what he does. It's either Luke Ross or Will Sliney. I always hate to say it, but I get those two artists confused all the time. They have similar styles, I feel like. But I'm ready to see that big old splash page of all the memories of Han Solo and all that as we have Han talking to Ben there as a ghost. Yeah, okay, cool.
Luke Ross is Legacy of Vader.
Yeah. So I'm thinking this will go from Kef Bir to the Battle of Exegol, maybe. And that's where we end because we'll have one more after that. So we're barreling towards a conclusion there. We're also seeing the death of Leia, I guess, as well.
Yeah, that's gonna be wild.
That'll be a big moment.
Spoiler alert: a film by J.J. Abrams that came out in 2019. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It'll be exciting. A very Kylo Ren heavy pair of books coming out next week. Go check your local comic book shop right now to pick up Legacy of Vader #4 as well as the books we talked about tonight, and then next Wednesday head on over to get The Rise of Skywalker #4. We will get some time to fit in the Insider issue number 231, that short story, sometime in there. But we'll deal with these two next. Talk about these two next week, and then move it right along as we get caught up. We continue along in the Tractor Beam Comics reviews. Chris, it's been a great show, great conversation as always. Thanks again for joining in. Where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me over here as well on my channel name, which is youtube.com/StarRaptor. As I said, a lot of Star Wars canon reviews have been uploaded in the last month. So if you're trying to catch up and want some synopsis with light spoilers, go ahead and check out the channel. Maybe you'll want to pick up the books or the comics if you like what I have to say about them. And then also on Twitter, I'm talking about mainly video games. Maybe I'll get back to posting images of my miniatures that I've been so much having a great time with. I'm having a blast painting young Ahsoka right now. Nice. So maybe I'll share a picture of that on Twitter there, twitter.com/StarRaptor. But yes, good show. Looking forward to taking a step into the future from the past with the sequel era next week.
There you go. Yeah, we're going from 228 BBY to what, 32 ABY, whatever that is. There, I got my dates right. There we go. There we go. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky MNEUG1138. Find me on Twitter at NEUG45. Probably tweeting about the Edmonton Oilers. They're up 3-1 against the Dallas Stars. Here we go. Check that out. We like hockey here at Underworld North. Who knew? Believe it or not, I do like hockey. Check me out on Instagram. Also, beaches.foodie. Need to post there more.
You gotta post more on that, by the way.
I do. I posted one thing recently. You can also, of course, Ion Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD. This past Monday, Joel and I chatted all about Andor season 4. We got a great guest, Ali from Daughters of Ferrix, on to talk about Andor season 4, Arc 4, season 2, Arc 4, basically season 4, right? Anyway, Arc 4 Arc 4 of season 2. It's coming Monday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, right here in the Underworld channel. We're chatting about the Galactic Senate, the rise and fall of the Galactic Senate, how it became the Imperial Senate and everything. in between, check that out right here on the Underworld YouTube channel and Facebook and Twitch, and Iron Cannon Twitch as well. Of course, everything going on Outer Rim Transmissions, what you guys are talking about there on Chris's channel as well. Again,
I forgot to plug that.
Yeah, go for it.
Thanks for reminding me. I also do another podcast that I actually tend to run. So I do run.
You tend to run it.
No, that is fine. If I'm not there, it doesn't happen because I have the software on the computer to make that possible. But yes, we are now in the catch-up mode as all other Star Wars podcasts around the globe are on. And we don't have It's sad reality in a way because we don't have live action Star Wars for like over a year. So we're gonna piecemeal sort of like content while we can have it still to talk about. So we're cutting it short. We're gonna talk about the Asajj Ventress Tales from the Underworld this week. We're gonna get into Cad Bane the following week. We still haven't even talked about news yet, so we got a whole celebration key coverage I'm going to be going over to the next few weeks on the show. So yeah, we're playing catch up over there for the next probably couple months at this point with all the stuff we've missed. So
there you go. So definitely check that out over on Chris's channel at Starraptor, youtube.com/Starraptor. Again, there's no more live action for another year, but there will all be comic books next Wednesday. Wednesdays are for comics over Wednesdays. Check those out. You have one more plug, go for it.
No, I'm just about to say, because this is a good segue to tell all the viewers out there that are upset that there's no more on-screen Star Wars. Well, hey, now's your time to dive into the comics. Now's your time to dive into the books, the video games, all that stuff, because this is what's going to keep us satiated until the next thing. For us, Star Wars will never go away because we're here every week talking about it, right? There's new content. It's a crazy thought, guys. Yeah, Star Wars for like 10 years. That's all there was books and comics. So it carries on the lineage. And High Republic might be ending, but we have a whole new era of Star Wars comics with Luke, Han, and Leia. After Return of the Jedi, people are waiting for that for their lifetime, basically. So it's a good time to be a Star Wars fan for this new content, because we have prequel content. High Republic, we got original trilogy, we have sequel trilogy, and then just stuff in between. So hey, if you're new to the fandom with this kind of stuff, now's a good time to jump on.
There you go. And with Legacy of Vader, you got a comic book that's bridging the prequel era and the sequel era in one. It's amazing. Love it. So check that out. Also, if you loved Andor, like we said earlier in the show, the characters of Andor, said at the beginning, check out Alexander Freed's Mask of Fear. It's one of the top Star Wars novels of all time. I'm not exaggerating. It's so spectacular and feels really interconnected to Andor. So focuses on Bail Organa. Definitely Soma Mon Mothma is the main character, and then Saw Gerrera is in there as well. So has a lot to do in there as well. So definitely do check that out. But yeah, check out Legacy of Vader #4, Rise of Skywalker #4, and us right here on the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Until then, happy reading.